It wasn't pretty. It wasn't clean. Beat that football team 28-3. I told them that's a really good victory.
Miami, Ohio turned up the heat as the Irish struggled to get going. And boos echoed through the house that Rockne built.
You don't do your job, people are going to boo you. You don't make decisions based off what the sentiment of the stadium is.
But the Irish defense played lights out.
Just went out there and executed. We were some savages. Like, we go out there and we go ball.
And Notre Dame got its first home win of the season.
We don't really listen too much to the outside noise. I know my job's to win the football game, and we won.
Today, the Irish want revenge.
It's a big one. Louisville, they're always going to bring their best.
Against an undefeated Louisville, the Cardinals got the best of the Irish last year.
They played with a lot of intensity at home last year. We've got to match that and play with some intensity of our own.
But this time, the Irish have other plans.
We don't need any motivation. That's enough. Turn on the film.
Notre Dame versus Louisville.
We tune out all the noise.
16 versus 15.
We got to perform. We got to put on a show.
This is ABC57 Kickoff, presented by Afdent Dental, live from the campus of Notre Dame, with your hosts, Allison Hayes and Ari Sadrzadeh.
Make or break. Every game is a must-win for the Irish if they want any chance of making the college football playoffs. Will the Cardinals be the spoiler for the second year in a row? It's a 3:30 kickoff inside Notre Dame Stadium. Welcome to ABC 57 Kickoff. I'm Allison Hayes.
And I'm Ari Sadrzadeh, and it is a green out today inside Notre Dame Stadium. Let's go. We're going to raise the roof here today. And let me tell you, the first to tell you that in 13 we trust today, Riley Leonard.
Woo.
Hey, listen, there was some boos inside Notre Dame Stadium last week for him, and I'm telling you, he is going to be the guy that Marcus sticks with the rest of the season, especially after last week's first half.
I tell you what, no, I don't know if Notre Dame fans are convinced just yet, but we shall see.
Riley Leonard, Notre Dame quarterback, threw for 154 yards and 1 touchdown last week in the win over Miami, Ohio. His first passing touchdown of the season, a perfect 38-yard strike to Bo Collins on the outside. Leonard also rushing for 143 yards. We know he can do that really well. 2 touchdowns. The Irish got off to a slow start, but the defense kept them in it early. Junior Tui Alamaka picked off a pass after the Irish muffed a punt. You just saw it there. And Boubacar Traore, his first career start, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, a quarterback hurry, and if that wasn't enough, a partridge in a pear tree, all in the first half. Christian Gray also had an interception, and Jeremiah Love does what he does best, added a touchdown, his 4th of the season.
Yeah, you had a mouthful there with all those stats, but
yeah.
I think the Irish will take that. That defense is the bread and butter of this team. Now, today, the Irish want revenge in the loss to Louisville last year. The Irish got outrushed by the Cardinals. Listen to this, 185 to just 44 yards. And it was the only game all season that Notre Dame ran for less than 125 yards.
I think it's going to be a different story today, an ugly stat. The Irish remember it well. They remember last year's game very well. It's the revenge game today. Lee Von Whitaker, he joins us outside Notre Dame Stadium. You talked to players and coaches this week about today's matchup.
Yeah, guys, a huge game, a huge revenge game. If you want to know just how much this game weighs against Louisville, let's look back to last season. Notre Dame played 7 straight matchups before they made their way to Louisville on the road under the lights on a Saturday night in front of those Cardinals fans, and it just proved to be too much for the Irish at that point in the season. But now that the Cardinals are coming into the house that Rockne built, I got a feeling that head coach Marcus Freeman and this football team, they want to get their lick back.
October 7th, 2023. A top 20 matchup between Notre Dame and Louisville ended with a final score of 33-20 in favor of the Cardinals.
Our guys weren't prepared for whatever reason. We got to take a deep dive and figure out what it was.
The Irish had a number of problems at Louisville 1 year ago. 5 turnovers on offense, 3 interceptions, and 2 fumbles. And defensively, the ability to stop the run was nearly non-existent, allowing 185 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's not hard to forget.
And obviously, be better in the run game and be better in our tackling than we were a year ago.
The players that have been here for that game last year, we already knew, and we took it too hard.
Heart is what the Irish need today, both on defense.
I just can see them still running the ball as they were last season. We just got to dominate at the line of scrimmage.
And offense. Right now, the Irish rank 18th in the country in rushing offense, and it's clear.
That's what our identity is. We want to be able to run the ball.
In the first 4 games, the Irish have 13 touchdowns on the ground, averaging 238 yards per game. 10 touchdowns and 661 rushing yards between running back Jeremiah Love and quarterback Riley Leonard, both ranked in the top 40 in the country.
Teams have to account for him to run the ball, right? Coming from a defensive side, like, you have to say, okay, we got to get an extra hat in the box in case he runs the ball.
They want to run the ball and use their quarterback as a runner and not turn it over.
Leonard's production on the ground ranks second among FBS quarterbacks with 6 touchdowns, and it's all by design.
Some of our read zone things that we do and some of the edge read things that we do in the run game, it's either a give or keep by the quarterback.
And Louisville sometimes has trouble stopping a quarterback who can break off for explosive runs.
With Notre Dame, it's important to figure out a way to get a lead and to make them do some things that they're not as comfortable doing.
The Cards gave up 98 yards to Georgia Tech, but they still rank 18th in rushing yards allowed, just 262 yards and 3 touchdowns. So the challenge is there on both sides of the ball.
Their whole defensive line, I think, does a really, really good job of controlling the line of scrimmage, and that's going to be a key to the game for us. I mean, we're an offensive line-driven program. We've got to win the line of scrimmage, and that's a key to winning the game.
Well, Mike Denbrock said it best. That's something that head coach Marcus Freeman has been preaching since he took over here for this Notre Dame football team. And you're probably wondering why you didn't hear much about Louisville's offensive run game. That's because they haven't really had a true opponent up until Georgia Tech. They played Austin Peay and Jacksonville State before playing the Yellow Jackets last week, and they only rushed for 57 rushing yards and 0 touchdowns. So the run game in terms of defense and offense is going to be very, very interesting here inside of Notre Dame Stadium, Allison and Vahid.
Well, thank you so much, Levon. And I'll be interested to see what the atmosphere is like inside Notre Dame Stadium for this game, because we were all at Louisville last year, and that atmosphere was hostile. It was so loud. Those guys, I mean, the fans were cussing, and I mean, it was intense. You could feel them on top of you, and it was a wild party. We saw Jack Harlow on the front row, all the guys from the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
I mean, it was something to be a part of.
You know, I'm going to get a lot of hate from Notre Dame fans for this. It is not that kind of atmosphere inside Notre Dame Stadium. It really hasn't been for a long time. But what Notre Dame does have is talent.
Yes.
And they have to use that motivation of, listen, if you lose today, you're done.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't matter what the atmosphere is like. You got to go out there and play like your season's on the line, and it is today. Absolutely it is. Notre Dame is ranked 16th in the new AP poll. Louisville is 1 spot ahead at 15, but the Irish are a slight favorite today. The Cardinals are undefeated after beating Georgia Tech last week 31-19. Louisville rushed for just 57 yards, but as you see here, was able to score on offense, defense, and special teams. The difference there, the Cardinals are a bit banged up, though. Their second best receiver, Jaden Thompson, hurt his knee and is out for the rest of the season. And their top cornerback, Quincy Riley, is questionable today. He's dealing with the leg injury. And, Allison, you have some late-breaking news out of Louisville as well. Another player is down.
Yeah, well, wide receiver Colin Lacey, he is considered a game-time decision, but they are expecting that he will be playing for Louisville today. He practiced all week. Reports of that are out, and we will be talking with the Louisville radio play-by-play guy, Paul Rogers, and he's got some more information for us coming up.
Dozens of Irish legends are on campus for today's game.
That's right, including former quarterback Steve Beuerlein. He joins us live on set next. But first, here's a sneak peek at what's coming up throughout the show.
No game day food goes to waste.
Here today we got steak from the football game up in the suites.
How Notre Dame quarterback and captain Riley Leonard is making sure local children go to bed with a full stomach.
This is a cause that I really think is truly making a impact like right now in this community. So I just want to be a part of it.
The Cardinals know how to fly.
Shot plants, fires downfield, wants Brooks, who holds it in.
The Irish may have their hands full with the Louisville passing game. We break down today's matchup with the voice of the Cardinals, Paul Rogers.
They have to continue what they've done so far, which is not turn the ball over. And I mean, literally not turn the ball over. They haven't had any.
And Holtz's heroes.
Men and women want to be led, just don't be led off a cliff. And he was not leading off a cliff. He was leading us to the national championship.
As Irish legends come together to celebrate Lou Holtz, we sit down for an exclusive interview with the legendary coach. Plus, why hello there.
You have the tightest ears ever.
Meet the newest member of the ABC57 Kickoff family.
That ball was hung out there by Dak Prescott late to the outside. That's the combination quarterbacks are taught very early not to do. You cannot throw the ball late outside. Very easily could have been picked off by Denzel Ward, who is one of the top cornerbacks in the NFL.
Well, we welcome Irish legend and former Notre Dame and NFL quarterback Steve Beuerlein. Great to have you on the show.
It is great to be here. You kidding? I love having a reason to come by anywhere near the Golden Dome. I love it.
Well, heck yeah. Our viewers are probably wondering why they just heard a call of a Cowboys game of all things, but that's because you are the color analyst for the Dallas Cowboys radio show.
Yeah, I just kind of fell into it this year. I've been with Compass Media Networks for about the last 5 years and doing NFL and college games, and this year it just kind of fell into place where I got a chance to follow the Cowboys around every week doing the national broadcast for them, so it's been exciting.
How's that jump from being a player to now on the dark side, the R side, the media?
Well, I'm not going to call you guys part of the dark side. You're very friendly, and I've always kind of, in my mind, I always felt like this would be what part of what I did when I was done playing football. So I've had a great opportunity for my whole retired career to be doing television and radio analysis and talking football. That's what I love to do. So it's kind of, I have a little bit of experience doing that kind of stuff. So I really enjoy it.
Well, you have a lot of experience at the quarterback position. We like to rattle off a few stats, pad them, if you will.
Right.
You played for the Irish from 1983 to 1987. In your senior year alone, with Lou Holtz as your head coach, you had a career-best 2,211 yards, 13 touchdowns. You were a fourth-round NFL draft pick, and you have a Super Bowl to your credit with the Cowboys behind Troy Aikman, and you had a Pro Bowl season in 1999, leading the NFL in passes completed, passing yards, and total offense with the Carolina Panthers, and you pretty much held every quarterback record for the Panthers during your 5 seasons there. But with that said, you also battled throughout your career for that starting role. Notre Dame has another Steve that's battling for a starting role. They were chanting Steve Angeli's name last week even. So what's your thoughts on that quarterback competition, if you even call it a competition, and the guys behind Riley Leonard who are playing?
Well, I understand where it comes from, and I understand, people have been frustrated with Riley Leonard, and a lot of it is justified. He is not I'm not going to say he hasn't performed well enough, but he hasn't stepped up and made a lot of the types of plays that we were expecting. And I was very excited when Notre Dame confirmed that he was going to be the guy this year coming in. I thought with Mike Denbrock coming back that they were going to have a really good, explosive offense. I think Riley Leonard has all the ability to be an NFL quarterback. I mean, his athletic ability shows up every week with how he runs. The throwing part of it has just not been at the level that you would expect. But the good thing, and this is what I keep telling people, the second half of that game last week, he made 4 or 5 great throws. He looked really comfortable in the pocket. I've been telling everybody, I've been bragging, I've been saying this guy's going to come through for Notre Dame, and it's going to happen at some point. Just hopefully it's not too late. And I'm hoping that he can build on what he did the second half last week.
Well, you've been on kind of both sides of that, as the starter, as the backup. How tough of a situation is that for a quarterback to go through, especially when you're literally hearing Steve Angeli throughout the stadium?
You know what? If you don't have a thick skin and a short memory and any other expression you want about just being able to get past that kind of mental distraction, you're not going to make it at this level or the next level. And I think Riley Leonard, by now he should be tough enough mentally to be able to fight through that and understand that, hey, all it takes is a few good throws to make win these people back over. Fans are very fickle. When things turn in the positive direction, you're going to be the hero again. And so as a quarterback, that's part of the deal. If you can't handle that part of it, then you don't belong in that position.
Well, a special weekend for you, a member of the board of directors for Holtz's Heroes Foundation. You just came from the brunch. We're going to take you right back when we're done. I know you had just one season with Lou Holtz, but it was a great one. I know you've got to have some good stories with Coach Lou. How much does he mean to you?
Well, when you were reading those stats, I was like, man, I wish the touchdowns would have been up a little bit higher. And we lost 5 games that year. We lost 6 actually, but 5 of the losses were by a total of 14 points. And they were against top 10 teams. We're talking about LSU, Michigan with Bo Schembechler and Jim Harbaugh. We lost to Alabama, when Cornelius Bennett was there. And we lost to Penn State, who won the national championship. We had chances to win all those games. And we should have. We just didn't quite know how to get it done at that point. But the one year I had with Lou Holtz was the most impactful year of my life from a football perspective. I mean, he didn't have to give me a chance coming in after I had a really poor junior year. I played through an injury, and it wasn't good. Yeah. But he gave me that opportunity, and that led to great things in the future, so I was very fortunate.
Well, quickly, does Notre Dame get it done today, and do you think that Riley Leonard leads them to the playoffs?
I think that Notre Dame gets it done today for sure. I think Riley has a big game, shows he can be that guy. And then down the road, we're going to see how they can match up against a couple of big teams. We got SC coming up Thanksgiving weekend, and there's going to be a couple other challenges along the way. But I think Notre Dame will find their way into that conversation. We'll see how it ends up.
All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Steve Beuerlein.
I'm not going to go on the record saying it's going to happen. I hope it does.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for
You're
joining
welcome.
us today.
Glad
We
to be
appreciate
here.
it. Your daughter is a freshman here at Notre Dame, so this is a great weekend for you. Enjoy it.
I'm excited. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
We're going to take you to break with a check of our game day forecast coming up next. You are taking a live look high atop the campus of Notre Dame, high atop the Golden Dome. Kind of an overcast, sticky day today. The 16th ranked Irish getting ready to take on number 15 Louisville in the revenge game from last year. It's a 3:30 kick at Notre Dame Stadium. The remnants of Hurricane Helene are certainly being felt on the campus today. Sticky. It was a little wet earlier this morning. We thought might be very, very windy, but thankfully it's kind of stayed away so far.
I'll tell you what, I brought everything you could need. I have rain gear. I've got winter gear. I'm sweating right now because it is definitely not nearly as cold or windy as we were expecting, but that's a good thing.
All right, let's check your forecast for the game today and tailgating weather, too. Meteorologist Dave Caulfield live in the tailgate area. Dave, you look pretty comfy out there in that jacket, more than you need probably.
Yeah, not too bad today. Don't have to shed it like last week because temperatures last week for the game in the low 90s. Nothing like that this time, but not too cold out here. And the effects from what once was Hurricane Helene could be a lot worse. We have the clouds here. I actually did see a peak of sunshine, so hopefully we can get more of that throughout the day in South Bend. But going to be pretty cloudy, but the rain should stay away. Some showers earlier this morning, but as temperatures move through the 60s this morning, we should be mostly dry for tailgating. And then showers will be out and about on radar, but if a shower does visit Notre Dame Stadium, it's unlikely to be all that heavy. So really shouldn't affect the game all that much. And while that wind is a little bit breezy at times this morning, by game time, shouldn't really notice the impacts. Yesterday, we had wind gusts of about 35 to 40 miles per hour. About half of that as we head into this afternoon. So it could be worse, it could be better, but people like Allison prepared for anything. Love to hear that. Live in the tailgate lots, meteorologist Dave Caulfield for ABC57 Kickoff.
The New Rockne Memorial Society will honor College Football Hall of Fame quarterback Joe Theismann with the Living Legend Award at their 100 Years of Notre Dame Quarterbacks event. It's on Friday, October 11th at 7 p.m. in the Champion Ballroom of the Embassy Suites in South Bend. Former Irish quarterbacks Ron Paulus and Deshaun Kaiser will also be there with special messages from Brady Quinn and 1964 Heisman Trophy winner John Hewart. I will be the MC for this event. Tickets are $25 and include a souvenir honoring the 1924 National Championship team. For more information and how to buy tickets, you can go to our website at ABC57.com.
Arms up and stretch. We're doing a little exercise this morning on ABC 57 Kickoff.
That's right, a Stretch Lab stretch workout to help you stay on top of your game.
But first, the reminder, the only place you're going to be able to watch today's game is on Peacock, NBC's streaming service. So if you don't have it, you're either going to need to buy a plan or go to Allison's house or your phone or smart TV. We're going to be right back here on 57 Kickoff. Welcome back to ABC 57 Kickoff. We're doing some morning stretches here today. You guys look very, very comfortable.
I am excited for this one. I've been waiting for this.
Well, we're excited for you to try it out.
Annie and her cohorts here from Stretch Lab are joining us for an exciting kind of stretch. And what else do you guys do at Stretch Lab here in Granger and serving the Michiana area?
Yeah, at Stretch Lab Granger, we're one-on-one assisted stretching. We focus on range of motion, mobility, flexibility, pain, and stress relief. And in studio, we have a machine that'll scan your body, pinpoint the areas that need a bit more work, and our flexologists here who are doing the stretching, customize the routine based on everyone's needs.
Can you tell when somebody walks in, like, do they need neck, do they need back or legs? Like, can you just tell, like, where they're tight?
Sometimes you can, which is why we have our MAPS machine in studio, because then they'll be able to pinpoint, and our flexes are trained to customize these routines for everybody, because everyone's body is different.
All right, let's talk about Levon here. What service is he getting here?
So Levon is going to be getting, looks like upper body and neck stretches by Mike here. Mike has a background in massage therapy. So with Stretch Lab, we are the only base that sends our team to get a specific certification to become flexologists. So they have a 2-year background in health and wellness field, and then we send them to get their own certification through Stretch Lab to become flexologists.
Levon looks very, very comfortable. He just took the glasses off. I don't know if he's going to go back to his job today. I'm just telling you.
Right there. We can hang as long as you want us to.
And what about Allison here? What's going on over here?
So it looks like she's doing some upper body and upper back stretches with Kurt. He is our lead flexologist.
All right.
So main focus, because she's
a little tight on this side.
Sitting all day, especially behind a desk, she's going to need that to relieve tension and get that better range of motion and posture to be corrected.
So in terms of, I mean, this is not just for athletes either, right? I mean, this is for everybody.
Yes.
You're at work, you're staring at a computer all day, your back, arms. I mean, really, it's not tailored for just athletes.
No, we have individuals who, from age like 7 or 8 years old all the way in their 80s, who come in, and it's for soccer players, or it's for people just starting out on a health and wellness journey, pre-surgery come in, workout based, anyone, we custom to their needs.
That is awesome. And, you know, any other services that you want to highlight today that, you know, people can stop by? Can they just walk in?
Yeah, we take walk-ins. You can also check out stretchlabgranger.com, where you can see our entire schedule. Right now we're doing half off of your first introductory stretch coming into studio, which includes our MAP scanning machine. And we'll customize the routine for you, but we're doing 50% off in studio.
You know, I'm a new dad, so my back might need a little help.
Oh, you better start working on the squats. We'll get you in there.
Levon, we might have to call you in for the desk for the next 30 minutes, man.
Hey, I'll take them. Find us at Stretch Lab. Heck yes.
Thank you so much,
No problem. Thank you, Vahid. I really appreciate being here.
Yeah, thank
you.
you so much. We're going to be right back here on ABC 57 Kickoff.
No, we're not. We're not.
A chance for payback. Notre Dame is back in action today, taking on the Louisville Cardinals in the house that Rockne built, but the Irish haven't exactly dazzled at home, and they're about to face their toughest opponent so far this year. Welcome back to ABC 57 Kickoff. I'm Allison Hayes.
I'm Vahid Sadrzadeh. You're too relaxed right now. You got that massage.
If you need me, I'll be over at the stretch lab tables.
You and Levon got it good today. Well, if today is anything like last week, special teams could be a big, and maybe a deciding factor in the game.
Well, that's right. The Irish struggled against Miami, Ohio, starting with a muffed punt and then a bad snap on a field goal, while the Cardinals blocked a field goal and returned it for a touchdown en route to beating Georgia Tech last week.
Louisville will be without wide receiver Jaden Thompson. Jaden has 88 yards and 2 touchdowns so far.
A 51-yard attempt. Kick is blocked. And an open ball picked up by the Cards. This could be a touchdown. It's Holloway to the 20 and the 10 and a touchdown. They get a dose of their own medicine blocking a kick.
Well, the longtime voice of the Louisville Cardinals, Paul Rogers, joining us once again. Our viewers just heard your call of the blocked field goal last week. Georgia Tech looking to take the lead in the fourth quarter. I absolutely love a blocked field goal, especially when it's taken back for a touchdown. Paul, take us through that call. I'm sure that will be one of those memorable moments for your career.
Yeah, calls like that are always fun because you just don't expect them. I mean, sometimes you hope for one, and other times you don't really even think about it. All of a sudden, it just happens, and that one did. I found out later in talking to the coaches, they thought they saw something that they could get to a block off the edge, and indeed they did. But still, there's so much luck that plays into it. I mean, he just basically threw out only one arm, slapped it with that one arm, and then, without even seeing it, the ball just magically jumped up into Holloway's arms, and off he goes. So it was an exciting play. It was Louisville's first block field goal touchdown in, 13 years, I think. So a good time was had by all Louisville fans anyway.
Yeah, well, we hope we don't see any of that happening at Notre Dame Stadium. Now, Louisville's offense enters this game ranked 12th in the country with 47.3 points per game scoring average. Even if you throw out the huge stats against Austin Peay and Jacksonville State, your quarterback, Tyler Shuck, had a clean 269 yards passing and 2 touchdowns against Georgia Tech. But what about the Cardinals' run game? Now, you guys gashed the Irish last season, but had just 57 total rushing yards and no touchdowns against the Yellow Jackets last week. What is happening with this Cardinals offense, and how does it match up against Notre Dame's stout defense?
They did not run it well Saturday, but that happens sometimes. Georgia Tech really stacked the box. Sometimes you just got to, if you can't run it, you got to throw it. If you can't throw it, you got to run it. And there wasn't a lot of offensive plays for Louisville, in fact. With the 2 touchdowns coming on the block punt and on the fumble recovery, you know, they give the ball right back to Georgia Tech. So Louisville only ran, I think it was 50, in the low 50s number of plays. But they have faith in their running backs. There hasn't been one in particular step up yet, but they got a group of 4 that I think they like. The offensive line, I think, has maybe been not as good as they hoped, perhaps, although it's so hard to judge over those first 2 games. But I think Louisville still feels that, for the most part, they're confident they can run the football.
Now, the Irish run game is definitely the bread and butter of this offense. Louisville comes into South Bend with the 28th best run defense in the country. The Cardinals' defense held Georgia Tech's solid run game to under 100 yards last week. How do you see the matchup of the Cardinals' defensive line, especially guys like Renee Conga and Ashton Gelati, up against a still developing Irish O-line?
Well, Louisville's defensive front has been formidable. They were expected to be, and they have been. And fortunately, they've stayed pretty injury-free in that group. You mentioned Conga. He's a newcomer. Gelati, a proven commodity, has been around a while. And the real surprise has been Tramel Logan, the guy who transferred in from USF. He's been a difference maker there. So they've been pretty solid up front. I think, again, we all know Notre Dame loves to run the ball, especially with the quarterback, and that's one place where Louisville has been a little bit vulnerable. This will be the 3rd straight game they've faced a running quarterback, and in each of the previous 2, that quarterback has had far and away most of the rushing yardage. So there's some concern with that, but I still think Louisville feels like, if nothing else, they've had 2 good weeks of practice to get ready for Riley Leonard, although every quarterback's a little bit different, and Riley's a special commodity when it comes to running the football.
Well, it's nice to hear you say that. You know, Irish fans are giving Riley no credit, no love for the running that he's doing, and everybody just wants to see him pass that football more. And that is one of the big storylines for the Irish, is that this development has been slow for that passing game. Riley Leonard got his first passing TD of the season just this last week. No interceptions, though, for the Cardinals' defense against Georgia Tech. Is your secondary kind of chomping at the bit right now? And how do you like that matchup there?
Well, I do like it. I know Leonard has not passed it as well as he would like, although I did see the first. I haven't seen the second touchdown. I did see the first touchdown pass he threw, and that was a pretty well-thrown ball and a great catch, so you know he's capable. But Louisville's secondary, if they're healthy enough, has proven enough that they can handle that, I think. But it is a little trickier when you've got a quarterback that is such a running threat. Every secondary player has to be careful to not get suckered up to the run, and suddenly he's turning around running with a ball thrown over his head. But again, I think the best part of what Louisville has done is face these two recent running quarterbacks. And with Leonard's passing game, maybe not as great as some quarterbacks, they feel like they got a pretty good handle on things.
Well, and just to wrap us up today, of course, the Irish were a slight favorite for this game. They were also favored last season, but got absolutely stunned in Louisville. In your opinion, what has to happen in this game for the Cardinals to walk out of South Bend with the win?
First and foremost, they have to continue what they've done so far, which is not turn the ball over. And I mean, literally not turn the ball over. They haven't had any. The troubling part of that is, it's not going to last all year. It's going to happen at some point. You just hope all of a sudden it doesn't happen in big numbers on Saturday. But A, protect the football if they can. Two, contain Leonard. He's going to get some runs. The quarterback run is a tricky thing to defend. That's why people who do it are so successful with it. It puts a lot of pressure on the defense when you've got that extra runner back there. So they contain Leonard, not turn the ball over, and frankly, not sustain any more injuries because they are getting a little bit thin. I think given that scenario, I think Louisville will feel they got a really good chance.
Well, we had a great conversation with Paul Rogers. He's the play-by-play radio voice of Cardinals. And we had him last year. We got to do that interview with him at the stadium. This year, of course, he travels with the team, and the team is in Michigan City, so he can't be here this early this morning. So we were glad to have him in our studio with us. Some stuff that he did share with me as well. Louisville will be without wide receiver Jaden Thompson. Jaden has 88 yards and 2 touchdowns so far this season. Paul tells me, though, losing Jaden definitely hurts, but the Cardinals should be getting receiver Cullen Lacey back. He's been out with a broken collarbone since fall camp. Paul says when healthy, Lacey is their best receiver.
Well, the Cards are definitely a little banged up today at Notre Dame Stadium. They're also without running back Maurice Turner and a key player on defense, cornerback Quincy Riley. Hopefully the Irish can take advantage of those losses for Louisville.
Reports are out, though, that Quincy Riley might be back for this game as well, so we'll see.
Playing it close to the vest.
That's right.
Before kickoff. The Irish are a slight favorite today over the Cardinals, but where should you put your money? Coming up, the guy who's cost me millions of dollars this season so far, Levon's Parlay.
But first, where are you cheering on the Irish today? Where are you watching ABC57 Kickoff? We'd love to see your game day picks. Look at those guys. They're watching it from the tailgate, watching it from at home. We even have your friend Reggie. He's all the way in Minnesota. Streaming us on ABC57.com. When you post on social media, tag ABC57, and we just might share it on the show. All right, it is time to place your bets. We are just a few hours away from kickoff between Notre Dame and Louisville, and we got to bring in our guy right here, because if you got some money on the game, where are you putting your money?
Well, the Irish are the lower-ranked team, but odds makers have them at 6-point favorites right now. The over-under 48.5 points. I'm an old guy, Levon, so I got to get those spectacles as far away as possible, but I don't need spectacles today. I need you to tell me where to put my money.
Well, listen, when you're trying to look and see what's going to happen in this matchup, I can't really predict what's going to happen. Good thing you got your glasses on, because you got to look straight into this game and see what the heck is happening. When it comes to this matchup, guys, I'm cold right now. I went out and got my hat and my gloves because I've been on a cold streak. I ain't hit nothing since the first week of the season when we played against Texas A&M. So I'm putting this on. And then I looked in the mirror, guys, earlier this week, and I said,
I'm cold?
I looked in the mirror and said, Levon, it's not you, it's Notre Dame. They're playing here at home, and they've been nearly 30-point favorites twice, and now they haven't covered that spread at home not once.
Yeah.
But listen, this team is struggling, but they've been known to kind of bounce back against tough teams here at Notre Dame Stadium. We saw what happened 2 years ago. They lost to USC on the road. They come back here and beat the brakes off of them. So it's going to be interesting to see. And our guy, Tim Murray, with with Vegas Sports and Information Network, had a pretty good stat line you don't want to miss. We talked about this earlier this week. Here he is.
You look at Marcus Freeman in his time at Notre Dame, and if you take the range of as a 7-point underdog all the way to a 7-point favorite, so that kind of span of 14 points, Notre Dame's 11-3 against the spread under Marcus Freeman, 11-3-1 with the one push being last year against Ohio State. So Marcus Freeman, while he has certainly struggled in spots as a massive favorite, especially against Group of 5 teams, he's actually fared quite well in this role as kind of a coin toss type of game. You know, initially I was looking at just a straight under on this game, you know, total around 46 and a half, but I've pivoted off of that to a Louisville team total under. Louisville's 3-0, but you got to question who they've played so far to date. Austin Peay, Jacksonville State, and then last week they beat Georgia Tech.
Well, listen, Tim makes a really great point about Louisville's schedule so far, and I love that stat line about Notre Dame being a 7-point underdog or the 7-point favorite in these tough matchups. With that being the case, I'm taking the Louisville team total under, guys. I love that because we know this is a revenge game. We saw something similar when Notre Dame, like I said earlier, played USC. They come back here, beat the brakes off of USC the following year. When they were down in Southern California, they just couldn't get it together. But this game right here, the Irish have a chance to really do something special against the Cardinals. So not only am I going with that team total under for Louisville, but Levon's parlay is back, and we got plus 400.
Grab that thing with your thick gloves.
Yeah, they got the little grippers on them. So they got the plus 453 odds to parlay Riley Leonard. Over 225 rushing and passing yards. I think he's going to get that done on the ground and in the air to some extent. He also went across the end zone for a touchdown. The same, you heard that little sneak this there. We also got Jeremiah Love crossing the end zone for a touchdown, and Jeremiah Love 50 rushing yards. These guys combined for 661 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns out of the 13 that this team have managed to get this season. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think they're going to get it done today.
I'm going to trust you today. I need to put food on the table for that little guy. So, if you don't deliver today, Levon.
Hey, baby needs some new shoes.
We both in trouble. Levon's parlay. Levon, thanks so much.
Appreciate it, man.
All right.
Well, speaking of your little guy, welcome to the world, Ari. Vahid and his wife, Heather, had their baby this week. We'll introduce you to the newest member of our ABC57 Kickoff family when we come back.
Dad. Yeah. You had the tightest ears ever. Is it a milk face?
Surrounded by dogs.
We say good morning. Good morning.
Well, here he is. Look at our little beautiful Ari Sadrzadeh. 6 days old.
Yeah.
Heather, how you feeling, Mama?
Pretty good. Tired, but we'll take a nap this afternoon, so it'll be okay.
Well, little Ari was just sound asleep, being so quiet this whole time in Mama's arms.
For hours.
As soon as Daddy gets him, he knows he's on TV. He's got to be heard.
Yeah, he's having some trouble because he's trying to see like where Levon's parlays was, and he wasn't agreeing fully with it. But he was quiet, I swear, for 2 hours, and he's waking up.
I like to hear his voice. This is your first child together, the experience of holding your son and sharing him with all of us. How special is that?
It's pretty awesome to see him in the Notre Dame gear, and I'm sure we're going to take him to many tailgates and many games over the years, so it's pretty special to have this moment.
You guys have had him out and about and just meeting everybody in the world, huh?
Yeah. He goes with the flow, so it's pretty easy.
We're going to hit up some tailgates today. We're going to go to your tailgate today, and he might join us for predictions if he doesn't lose it completely later. So.
Well, awesome. Give us some stats. We need to know his
right,
numbers. Oh, look at this hair, too, by the way.
Yeah, a nice set of hair, of course. He was 6 pounds, 10 ounces, and 20 inches long, and he was born at 6:52 last Sunday.
And he's got daddy's cheeks. Look at those cheeks on this boy.
And apparently he's got my voice, too, because he's going to be a heck of a yeller. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for bringing him out here today.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of Ari on ABC57 Kickoff.
It's okay. They're going to win today. They'll win today, I promise.
All right. Well, it has been an up and down season so far for the Irish. Which team will get the W today? We break down some key plays with Greg Flammang from Irish Sports Daily next.
It's part of the game, right? If you don't do your job, people are going to boo you. But if you let that affect the way you go out and execute the next play, then, man, you're not the right person for this job or for to be our quarterback at Notre Dame.
I know my job's to win the football game. So, regardless of any of that, we can't let it bother us. It is what it is, and we won.
Notre Dame pulled off the win last week over Miami, Ohio, but got off to a very sloppy start. The Irish managed only 40 yards combined on their first 3 drives. Boos could be heard throughout the stadium, and at one point, the student section even started chanting, "Steve Angeli," calling for the Irish backup quarterback. Riley Leonard eventually got things going and went on to score 3 touchdowns, including his first one through the air this season.
Well, when the Irish faithful are frustrated, it shows. Now, a win is a win, but the Irish have definitely given fans a lot to talk about, especially when it comes to the play of quarterback Riley Leonard and this Irish offense. Let's check in now with Levon Whitaker once again, who's live with a special guest.
Yeah, Allison Vahey, I'm standing right here with Greg Flammang of Irish Sports Daily. Greg, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. The weather is awesome. Ready for a good football game.
Greg is here from Long Beach, California, because, listen, guys, when we look at this Notre Dame football team and some of the plays that they run, we oftentimes have no idea how they got to that point, what the ultimate goal was. But Greg Flammang with Irish Sports Daily, he does a great job of breaking down those plays, telling us what the Irish did wrong, what they did successfully, and maybe what the ultimate goal was during some of those plays. He breaks them down on screen from the West Coast. And, Greg, so far this year, we've seen a lot of fans that are kind of upset at quarterback Riley Leonard. He's been known to not have a ton of passing yards, not air it out, but he uses his legs, and in most games that's not as successful. It's not really a talking point, but for some reason it is in this game. Tell us a little bit about that before we dive into that play.
Yeah, so what Riley Leonard can do, he's 5th nationally in quarterback broken tackles, so he's very good at breaking tackles. And what he can do is he can make the defense, have to take him on, and he creates openings for the running backs. We've seen Jeremiah Love break a bunch of long runs. We've seen Darian Price break a lot of long runs. Defenders are looking at Riley Leonard, and that creates openings. It also gets players out of position, creates opportunities for himself as well.
Well, you did a great job of breaking down a couple of plays that between Louisville and between Notre Dame. Let's take a look at those plays that you broke down for us while you're out on the West Coast.
Louisville's had trouble with some of the quarterback run games so far in 2024. You see here last week against Georgia Tech, they're going to be running a lot of similar action to what Notre Dame did against Miami of Ohio on the long Riley Leonard touchdown, a bunch of down blocks, a seal block, and then you get a run in for a touchdown from Haynes King, the Georgia Tech quarterback, someone who Notre Dame's going to see later in the year. As you can see, this is very similar to what Notre Dame did. Notre Dame's going to have down block, down block, just like Georgia Tech. We're going to get a kick out here, and then Riley Leonard's able to take this ball to the house right up the middle. Again, Louisville has struggled with this so far this season, and this wasn't a factor in last year's game against the Cardinal on the road. So today Notre Dame's going to look to exploit Riley Leonard's legs, just as they have all season.
Well, Greg, you talked about Riley Leonard and that advantage that they didn't have last year in Sam Hartman as a mobile quarterback. He can move from time to time. We saw it against Ohio State. He came up short. We saw it against Duke. He got the first down in a pivotal time in that game. But Riley Leonard is much more different. He has 6 rushing touchdowns this season, along with over 300 rushing yards. Why is that an advantage against Louisville today?
Well, Louisville, as I noted in the video, they've struggled against running quarterbacks. And so that's, again, created mismatches in the secondary. Notre Dame's much more explosive. You talked about Sam Hartman last year. They're much more explosive in the ground game this year. Last year, through 4 games, they only had 2 rushing touchdowns of 30-plus yards. This year, they already have 6. So they are really able to exploit defenses and put them on kind of their heels on the quarterback running game. Quarterback design runs. Sam Hartman had some wheels, but quarterback design runs are what Notre Dame has in their arsenal this year.
Well, it is a huge difference maker. Let's switch sides to Louisville now. Let's look at their passing game. They're 18th in the country in passing, but they're going against the 16th ranked Irish defense. Let's take a look at what Greg Flammang has to say about Louisville's passing game.
Louisville had success against Georgia Tech with crossing route concepts, either players getting caught up in traffic, bad angles, or otherwise busts in the secondary. This is something that Notre Dame's going to have to key on in the game this afternoon. They've been very good at this. Jordan Clark, Ben Morrison, and we're going to see Christian Gray against Texas A&M make a good play here. Notre Dame has always been organized in the back here, and they're going to have to be today in order to slow down Louisville's passing game.
Well, we know that Notre Dame's defense has been great. I mean, 3rd year in Al Golden's scheme, and they did pretty darn good against Texas A&M, only allowing 100 passing yards. They've only allowed 541 total passing yards throughout the season. But the Irish may definitely have their hands full today with guys like Ja'Cory Brooks and, of course, Chris Bell, who was an issue for the Irish last year in Louisville.
Yeah, very different team that Louisville's bringing to South Bend this year. Last year, there was their running game that really affected Notre Dame. They wanted to protect their quarterback, Jack Plummer. With Tyler Shuck this year, they don't want to do that. They want to get the ball downfield. Fortunately for Notre Dame, that is the strength of their defense. It's one of the best in the nation between Ben Morrison, Christian Gray, Jordan Clark, safeties, Xavier Watts, and Adon Schuler. They've been limiting teams throwing the ball, so it's going to be a strength versus strength situation in this game. Notre Dame is one of the more organized teams in the secondary. I've noted that throughout the year. It's very hard to get over them on crossing routes that we saw in the game against Georgia Tech. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. Notre Dame has to feel good about what they have on the back end there.
All right, well, Greg, thank you so much. You always do a great job breaking down film. I always enjoy watching as I get on YouTube and Twitter and then matching your sky view angles with my ground level angles. You know how we like to do that one. So, Greg, thank you again for joining us from Irish Sports Daily, coming all the way over from Long Beach, California.
Thank you.
Oh, my God! Sheamus! The Celtic Warrior with a massive interception!
Coach Freeman, how are you?
What's up? How you doing, Sheamus?
I am so pumped for this team. I'm so pumped that you lead them.
On September 28th, we're playing Louisville, which is going to be a crazy game.
It's going to be a banger, fella. It's going to be banger after banger after banger after banger.
And another banger today. Irish wear green. Coach Freeman made the call, and boy, did he answer. The Celtic Warrior Sheamus joins us live. Hold up that belt, my friend.
Let's
ABC57 Kickoff is coming up next.
Fight, 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 fight. Sacrifice, unselfish sacrifice. We're going to get them on a run. We're going to go, go, go. And we aren't going to stop until we go that goal line.
We are Notre Dame!
Get on the bus. Next stop, Notre Dame Stadium.
From the house that Rackney built to the dynasty of Air Parsegian, this is the home of Fighting Irish football.
The place where greatness is earned 1 yard at a time. The field that forged Notre Dame legends like Theismann, Montana, and Brown.
The land of never quit, never surrender. The legacy, the passion, the tradition. That is Notre Dame football.
ABC57 Kickoff is back.
Bigger and better
than ever.
Another season of Fighting Irish football. It all starts here.
This is our house. This is our team.
And this is ABC57 Kickoff.
You're watching ABC57 Kickoff, presented by Afdent Dental, live from the campus of Notre Dame, with your hosts, Allison Hayes and Ari Sadrzadeh.
Well, the Irish wear green today, and this man right here has a lot to do with that. We welcome WWE legend Sheamus to join us on set today. Or should I call you King Sheamus? Is that better?
No, Sheamus is grand. Shamey, Shamo, whatever you want to call me, that's grand. You know what I mean? Everything's great. I'm just delighted to be back here in Notre Dame on campus. I believe the first time I came here was 8 years ago and I got invited, and every time I get a chance to come back is fantastic.
I've actually seen you in person myself, just in the tailgates, hanging out with the people. How much fun is that for you to come back year after year?
I think it's great. Tailgate as well. It's something that we don't really do back in Ireland, you know, and it's definitely a great American tradition to do that before the game. Brings everyone together. People are cooking, drinking, having fun, playing games, and everyone's just having a laugh, you know, having the crack. So yeah, I just want to get down there and meet everybody here and get involved with the team and all the fans.
Well, you're a huge Notre Dame fan. You picked them to win
the
national championship this year. So tell me a little bit about that experience and what that was like in picking them to win the championship.
Yeah, look, listen, you know, last year I went there to Dublin. They turned Dame Street, which is a very famous street, one of the main streets in Dublin, into Notre Dame Street. There was just a like sea of green, you know, down. It looks like kind of like another St. Paddy's Day, to be honest. And of course, you know, Notre Dame is true to my heart. I saw them when I was a teenager when they first came to Dublin, Croke Park, and I've been following them ever since. And you know, I got that opportunity on game day. The first thing I knew, I was going to give ND a shout out and, you know, go for the national championship. Why not? You know, this is such a huge football team, you know, such a huge college, and there's so much tradition here and legacy here. So, you know, it's a banger. It's a banger, man. You know what I mean? It's easy. So I just want to say one thing, though. Like, I'm here to support the proper fellas in the stands and on the field. But look, just don't call me a lucky charm. That's all I'm saying, you know?
I don't want to get in a wrestling match.
Yeah, okay, yes, sir.
If I do, and I think we have a little bite from when you were on College Game Day.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, so let's see it.
National champs. We're in Dublin City. We're in Ireland. I got to go with the Fighting Irish Notre Dame. And Marcus Freeman he's created a culture at Notre Dame at South Band, which is unbelievable. He's going to be the guy to bring the gold back. And there's going to be two ND plates on this championship at the end of the year.
I love that.
Let's go Irish!
Well, we just watched a very bold prediction. You talked about your opportunity to be on College Game Day. You just still stand by that? You think the Irish get the win today against Louisville and still have a chance to make a run for the national championship?
Absolutely. The Fighting Irish, they're going to go out there and fight. They're going to leave everything out there on the field. Of course I believe they're going to win. Like, check this out, right? This is the ND Notre Dame special title belt through WWE and Fanatics. So I'm going to be walking around with this all day, hopefully, and getting the crowd, getting all the fans, you know, hyped up, you know, because some people say, like, some people think the Fighting Irish is a negative stereotype, but where I come from, it's a real thing. We love to fight, and we're going to fight today.
Well, you have such a special relationship with head coach Marcus Freeman. Yeah. How did that friendship and that relationship start? This is very heavy, by the way. How did that start? I got a conversation with him. I had a chat to talk to him. His kids are big WWE fans. I know he's been to a couple of events with the kids. And I FaceTimed him once or twice, and he just unbelievable fella, like just a down-to-earth lad who's just very passionate about the team, very passionate about his family, and about like the ND culture. So, you know, right away off the bat, you know, I could tell that this guy is legit, you know, and this is what the college needs and the team needs. So I'm a huge fan of Marcus, man. I really am. I think he's the one who's going to like bring us to the next level, and again, we'll see it today when we go out there and, you know, kick Louisville's arse all over the place.
Are you allowed to say that?
Yes, let's go.
Arse is PG. Don't worry about it. We say that a lot back in Ireland.
I'll tell my boss that next time I say that. What's next for you in the ring?
So I just signed a new 5-year deal, and I just put ink to paper, as they say, last week. So I'm really excited about it. You know, I've done a lot in WWE. There's one title I haven't won. That's the Intercontinental Championship, and I win that. That'll make me the first ever WWE Ultimate Grand Slam champion. So that's on the cards. And I just love working with the young talent and just, working with the next generation of superstars who are going to be here probably long after I'm gone. So I'm having a blast. I'm having the crack. I'm going to come here, go on campus, meet everybody, you know what I mean? Enjoy the game. I'm literally just having the best life ever.
What is your plans for the game? Are you in the stadium, on the field, in a suite?
Listen, I'll go wherever they let me to go. I might try and sneak down onto the field. I might try and throw a few bro kicks at the Louisville mascot. We'll see what happens. Things might get heated down there. I might need to get stuck in. But I'm just here to have the crack. I'm here to have the laugh. And I'm here to see Notre Dame again put on banger after banger after banger.
After
banger, after banger.
He's a quick learner, this one.
I want to know, what position would you play if you were on the field? What position would you like to play?
I'd be definitely offensive lineman, yeah.
Oh, all right. Yeah. I'd like to see you out there on defense. Yeah.
Both. I do both.
Yeah, play both sides?
Yeah, I'll go in there twice. When I played rugby, I never left the field, so I'll do both. You know what I mean? I multitask.
I love it. Well, you got a final prediction for us today, score-wise?
Yeah, ND by 14.
By 14? All right, you heard it right here. Sheamus, WWE legend. He's taken Notre Dame today by 14 points.
Let's go, Irish! Let's go, Irish! Come on, fella! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go, Irish! Yeah!
All right, we got more coming up, but who cares? This guy's amazing.
A lot of product in there.
ABC57 Kickoff. We'll be back after this.
See you in a minute.
Not going to lie, I just thought I was going to be on the mend after Sheamus almost tackled me on set. We're just a few hours away from kickoff between Notre Dame and Louisville. The latest Irish injury report, at least 4 players will be sidelined today due to injury.
Well, that's right. In tight end, Cooper Flammang is out after hurting his ankle last week against Miami, Ohio. Flammang has 3 catches for 53 yards on the season, including a 28-yard touchdown reception. Of course, right guard Billy Schroth is nursing an ankle injury he suffered at Purdue. And on the flip side of the ball, safety Tate Johnson and defensive tackle Gabe Rubio are both still out with foot injuries.
And defensive end Josh Burnham is questionable for today's game. He's been out the past couple of weeks after hurting his ankle against Northern Illinois. So a couple of guys for Notre Dame out today, but as we know, Allison, a couple of key players.
Bye, Sheamus!
A couple.
Anytime.
A couple of key players for Louisville also out today. So on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, that's kind of this time of the year, right? This type of season. Also, an interesting development for Notre Dame was cornerback Jaden Mickey. He has decided to redshirt the rest of the season. Coach Freeman told us that Mickey will get his degree from Notre Dame this spring, but he plans to enter the transfer portal when it opens up in December. And, of course, let's not forget, Jaden just lost his mother, Nilka, to cancer, her battle there just about 6 months ago, back in December. So, he's got a lot going on in his mind.
Yeah, a big loss for Notre Dame's defense, but we wish him nothing but the best.
That's right. Well, he made one of the biggest plays in Notre Dame history, in one of the biggest games in Irish history. Notre Dame legend Pat Terrell joins us now live on ABC 57 Kickoff when we come back.
We are joined now by Irish legend and 1988 national champion Pat Terrell. Pat, thanks so much for being on set, and you met Sheamus here just moments ago. You never know what you're going to get.
I tell you what, that's a leprechaun, right?
Well, don't let him hear you say that.
No, that's a bad dude right there, man.
You came, Pat, to Notre Dame as a quarterback, then moved to wide receiver, and eventually transitioned to the safety position. And boy, Irish fans are sure glad you did.
Yeah, that's right. Let's take a look at some of your stats here, some highlights for you. 7 career interceptions, but take a look at this. You will go down in history for this game-saving moment in the 1988 Catholics versus Convicts game. Number 1 Miami pulled within 1 point. It's 31-30 with the game on the line. The Hurricanes went for the 2-point conversion, a pass play to the right corner of the end zone, and you batted away Steve Walsh's pass to preserve the victory. One of those unbelievable moments in college football history. You had a pick six for that game too, but no biggie, right? I know this is something that you've been talked about and asked about just countless times over the past 36 years. It's hard to believe it's been that long, but how amazing to be a part of such a amazing moment in Notre Dame history.
You know what? Thanks for saying pick six. I think sometimes that was the only play I ever made, the batted down 2-point conversion. But I tell you what, it was a great season. We were thrilled. That game was so huge. We all remember it. And there were so many great plays in that game. The 2-point conversion just kind of was the end of a culmination of an incredible afternoon. So many stars in that game. And it's kind of funny. I was drafted by the LA Rams a couple years later, as well as Frank Stamms and Todd Light. And a lot of people don't know this, but we probably had about 15 guys in the locker room between Miami and Notre Dame on the Rams locker room. So that game kind of lasted a long time with the controversies and everything else. But it was a game I'll never forget.
Well, we talked to Matthias Farley, who was here with us last week on the show about this. He also transitioned from wide receiver to the Irish secondary. And, of course, Xavier Watts masterfully has done so as well. What makes receivers so good on the defensive side of the ball? Is it because you're experienced on that side of the ball? And what's challenging about making that transition?
Well, first of all, you say it like I've really had a choice. I mean, come on.
What was that conversation like? Yeah. What was that like? What was the conversation like?
The conversation was after dropping a few passes, and Coach Holtz said, you're the best receiver I've ever coached until we throw you the football. I'm moving you to the spring, to free safety in the spring. The truth is, you get moved. You're used to being, an offensive player, but I played both ways, and most of the guys you just mentioned played both ways in high school. So it's, a lot of times in college they recruit athletes, and so making that transition was difficult because I saw myself as, Tim Brown's replacement. And so I think what Lou Holtz and some of these head coaches do is when they move guys from offense to defense, he knows that's going to kind of strike a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. And so I think I went in a little disgruntled, and I kind of bottled that, and it worked out for me.
It sure did, and fans will always remember that about you. And, of course, you were a second-round draft pick and played 9 seasons in the NFL. You were even honored by the league for your career after football. You are the CEO of Terrell Materials, but you also became an international airline pilot. That was something I had never heard about you, and I'm fascinated. How did that love of planes come about?
Wow, well, my grandfather, he introduced me to the Tuskegee Airmen guys, and since I was a kid, I loved aviation. And matter of fact, when I was getting recruited at Notre Dame, Lou Holtz said, well, what am I competing against? I said, well, Coach, I'm from Florida, so Miami, University of Florida Gators, and Purdue. And no disrespect to Purdue, but he goes, Purdue? Why am I competing against Purdue? I said, well, Coach, they've got a great aviation program. The astronauts went there. And he said, son, we've got Mishawaka Regional Airport right down the street. So that was recruiting in the 80s. The only time I saw the airport was on away games. So I still give him a hard time about that. But it was a fantastic career I had in aviation. I was a captain of a 757 and flew all over the place. And I really felt blessed that I was able to do a couple things that I wanted to do as a kid, play ball and fly planes. And now our company, we build runways. So I still get to go out and stare at the planes.
We're running out of time. Do you mind if I jump in on this one? Because I really wanted to get this in. One of your best friends, I had to stalk you to try to get you on this show today, and I reached out through Chris Zorich. He was in your wedding. You guys have been friends all these years. Just, quickly, just kind of, what has he meant to you and your friendship over the years?
Oh, wow. All the years in the NFL, you play on teams, and it's a different atmosphere. The guys that I stay in touch with were the guys I spent 4 years here at Notre Dame. And Chris is one of my best friends. And actually, he became really close with my wife for a long time. And then Chris. So it's great to have friends like that. I know he'd do everything for me. I'm a lot less nervous around Chris off the field than on the field because I had to remind him many times on the field that I'm your teammate because he didn't want anybody touching him, even if it was a congratulations pat on the back. So Chris, Tony, Tim, Ryan, we all stay in touch and living the best life.
I love that. Share your love for motorcycles. You share the love for planes, your love of Notre Dame. Great to have you here. Great weekend, of course, for all of you to have a reunion for Holtz's Heroes. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks, Allison, so much for having me.
Thank you, Pat.
All right, guys.
Appreciate it.
All right, well, when we come back, speaking of Coach Holtz, we'll have my exclusive one-on-one interview with the legend himself, Coach Lou Holtz.
We're not talking about Georgia or Alabama, we're talking about Louisville. And you got to win these type of games.
The annual Holtz's Heroes Foundation reunion weekend brings in dozens, and this weekend about 40 former players back to South Bend, from Rocket to Reggie, Bolcar to Zorich, all here to reminisce and catch up with their coach, the legendary Lou Holtz.
That's right. And now, at 87, Lou has admittedly slowed down significantly. He's using a walker, and he prioritizes his rest when he needs it. But he's still sharp as a tack and quick with a joke, and he holds court whenever he enters the room. I had the chance to sit down with Coach Holtz for an exclusive conversation, and in true Lou fashion, he did not hold back. I know it's getting harder and harder to get around, but you always make it a point to come back to Notre Dame and to be a part of this reunion weekend. How important is this to you?
Well, when you see the difference they're making in athletes' lives, that was the purpose of Holtz Foundation. And it was found, 15 years ago, but they are doing great things. And I was proud of them as players, but I'm really proud of them now as teammates.
And, I know you're part of the docuseries with Marcus Freeman. He said to me earlier this year that he cherishes the moments that he gets to talk with you. What kind of advice have you had for Coach Freeman, especially when they had a loss like they did to NIU this year?
Well, I never call him after a win because all the alums are doing that. But I did call him after the loss to Northern Illinois. And that's part of life. You're realizing coaching, you don't want it to happen. And offensively, you got to dominate the game against a weaker opponent, because the longer they stay in the game, the greater their confidence get. But win out, get in the playoff, all forgotten. People have such a poor memory of the bad things that happen unless we keep it alive. So let's look forward to the future. Let's figure out what we have to do to correct the mistakes we made and how we can go on and win the championship. Because I think we have the talent and the coaching to do that.
And they have to get through Louisville, and they've got a tough one looking for revenge. Do you think they can get that done?
Louisville we're not talking about Georgia or Alabama, we're talking about Louisville. And you got to win these type of games. What bothers me is our schedule. Right now, we're in second place in the Mid-American Conference. But what I think is important is Notre Dame's not on the sports page or on the sports news every night. Whereas you're playing a good schedule and you got a good year, you're constantly in the news. And we don't hear enough about Notre Dame right now. That's my feeling.
All right, I'll let you go because I know you got a big day and everyone wants to see you here. But thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
You're more than welcome. Thank you.
Yep. Oh, man, any moment is a cherished moment with Coach Holtz. He keeps it real. We're in second place in the MAC right now. I love it. He still has that quick wit and that $1 million smile. And don't get me wrong, Lou can also get pretty ornery at times these days. But if you're lucky enough to have a moment with him, he makes you feel like you are the only person in the room, even when there's a line of people waiting for him.
Well, things have definitely changed. He used to work the room. Now he sits down. Of course, he's with a walker most of the time. But listen, he still lights up a room like you said. He still has that charm about him. And anytime, last night, here it is again with one of his former players. You were there, and just so spectacular.
Yeah, we got to witness a really special moment when Chris Zorich and his wife Candy wanted to take a picture with Coach. As hard as it is for him to get up and around, Lou insisted on standing. That moment and what he said to Chris brought Candy to tears. She told me that he leaned in and he told Chris, "I would do anything for you." Just an incredible moment to see them, coach and player, still so close after all of these years.
Well, I think emotional, too, because you don't know how much time you have left. So to really embrace those moments with your former players and enjoy the moment while he can. So great moment, great conversation. The Irish remember the pain this year. Will they gain one on the cards? The revenge game. Coach Freeman's focus is coming up.
And it's a house divided today for Notre Dame running backs coach Deland McCullough, how they're keeping it all in the family.
It ain't even the elephant in the room. We'll talk about it a little bit if it comes up, but it's never like, hey, sit down, we're about to go hardcore football 101. It's not like that.
With the same rich tradition of the Irish.
Wake up the echoes cheering your name.
Send the volley cheer on high.
Shake down the thunder from the sky.
What though the odds be great or small?
Old Notre Dame will win overall.
While her loyal sons and daughters
march on to victory.
It's Tim Brown, Heisman Trophy winner, and you're watching ABC57 Kickoff.
You're watching ABC 57 Kickoff, presented by Afdent Dental, live from the campus of Notre Dame, with your hosts, Allison Hayes and Vahid Sadrzadeh.
Put the Cardinals on ice, baby. The Irish hope to return the favor after getting upset by Louisville last season, and they'll be facing off in a packed house. Notre Dame Stadium is sold out, and the Irish wear green for today's top 20 matchup. Well, welcome back to ABC 57 Kickoff. I'm Allison Hayes alongside Vahid Sadrzadeh and Levon Whitaker. It's been all the talk of the season. We know Riley Leonard can run, but he's definitely struggled in that pass game.
Well, and that may not fare well against the Cardinals, who've had trouble stopping the pass but are strong against the run, Levon.
Yeah, guys, usually once a game is over, it's on to the next opponent, but this game against Louisville is different. This week's Freeman's focus, the Irish head coach Marcus Freeman, is making sure his team remembers the pain of the past.
There are certain things in life you'd rather just forget about.
I'm not revisiting last year to motivate you. I'm revisiting last year to learn from those things that we have to learn from that game presented.
Last year's game versus Louisville is one of them. Instant frustration following a 33-20 loss to the Cards. Now it's time to revisit the past.
It's a lot like therapy. Sometimes you got to revisit those dark places, to kind of get out of it what you need to.
Head coach Marcus Freeman is focused on what his team needs to do differently on both sides of the ball.
As you watch film, they're good in all three phases. So offensively, I think they take a lot of pride in running the ball.
Louisville ran for 2 touchdowns on 185 yards against the Irish a year ago.
What you do when you're able to run the ball is create some opportunities to throw explosive plays down the field, and that's something you've seen from their offense. Defensively, an aggressive attacking, are going to challenge you to, stop the run.
Running the ball with your backs is one thing. Putting the rock in the hands of your quarterback creates a bigger issue for the Cards.
I mean, he's 6'3", 215 plus, and runs probably a 4.5. You might look at Riley and say, how well does he run? He can roll, and we saw that in practice. And a couple of our guys on defense were lucky he was in a red jersey.
Leonard wasn't sporting the blue and gold last year, but he's 0-2 against Louisville, so he knows the pain of losing to the Cardinals. And to get this team ready, Coach Freeman definitely has no problem picking at those wounds.
I think it's an opportunity for guys that weren't in this program last year to be able to reflect and understand that, hey, we lost to this team last year, but there's a lot of great learning opportunities from that game, and that's what I'm going to preach to our team.
Well, guys, Coach Freeman stressed to us this week during the press conference the Irish won't be lacking any motivation going into today's game. It doesn't matter if they were a part of this team last year or not. They all know what happened last year against Louisville, and they want to return the favor at Notre Dame Stadium today at 3:30 p.m. It's going to be interesting.
I'll never forget the feeling and the atmosphere on the field after that game. And the Notre Dame players were not happy. They were pushing cameras out of the way, and it was definitely, you could tell they took that one personally.
Oh, it definitely hit hard. I mean, even the freshman Christian Gray, he stayed on the field with veterans like Howard Cross after the game. The whole entire linebacker core, I mean, J.D. Bertrand, Maris Leofold, Jack Kaiser, standing as a unit, just trying to figure out, where they went wrong immediately after the game.
Well, thank you so much, Levon. We'll have you back again at the end of the show for our final predictions. All right, well, today's game was supposed to be a battle of father versus son. Notre Dame running backs coach Deland McCullough facing off against his son Day, a defensive back for Louisville. But he suffered an injury in the preseason and hasn't played for the Cardinals so far this season. And Day did not travel with the team to South Bend. Well, Coach McCullough is known for his stable, as he calls it, of running backs here at Notre Dame. But the McCulloughs have football in their blood. And the father of four actually has a stable of talent right in his own family. With Notre Dame running backs coach Deland McCullough, what you see is what you get. Push-ups at the start of practice the other day, you challenging your guys out there?
Nah, they don't want that challenge. Right? That's all I can challenge, man. Let's say it like that. That's probably as far as I can go with any challenge for them. But that's my little get pumped up, get ready to go thing. But it's exciting. These guys keep me kind of on my toes, and I like that.
Deland has made a name for himself in the football world. As a player, he was the MAC Freshman of the Year at Miami, Ohio. And as a coach, he helped guide running backs Audric Estime and Kyron Williams to the NFL and won a Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs, coaching standouts like Kareem Hunt and Le'Veon Bell.
Chiefs Kingdom!
Football success is in Deland's blood. His father, Sherman Smith, also won a Super Bowl as a running backs coach with the Seattle Seahawks in 2013.
It's funny, we both have the experience of winning one, and I've lost two, and he's lost one. So we both share the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. But I think we both understand what it takes to get there.
And those athletic genes continue to be passed down the family line. Deland is a father to four sons. Deland II played running back at Indiana. Desan is currently a linebacker at Oklahoma, and Day is a defensive back at Louisville.
Yeah, Desan, is a rough and tumble, tough guy. All of them are on something, but Desan is like extra super driven. My oldest son, Deland II, the same way. Them guys, they working hard. Like, they ain't taking no friends. They work. Day is more laid back. And I think that's the thing that drives us crazy about him. It's like, come on, because everybody see how really, really good he can be. But now the last couple years, the light bulb is one off. He's like, oh, shoot.
And DM, the baby of the family, hopes to follow in their footsteps.
He absolutely loves his brothers.
Deland takes advantage of the Notre Dame bye weeks to see his sons play in person, but his wife, Darnell, is the one who regularly travels the country to watch her boys.
She got the RV, and so she goes to Desan's games. Her and DM, they'll take the RV down there. So last year when we had 2 bye weeks, I was out recruiting, and I went down there and I drove back and stayed in the RV. That was cool. It was really cool.
Day is currently recovering from an injury at Louisville and has not played this season. But whenever he is on the practice field, he relies on his dad's experience.
Do you watch his tapes and then you will give them a call and kind of break it down with them?
Oh, yeah. So I asked him, what's this, what's that? I'm highly involved and highly motivated to know what's going on, just to keep me on. But then I can advise them, too. Like, hey, here's what I'm seeing from a coach's perspective. Here's what's this. Here's the right questions to ask. Hey, make sure you talk about this. Make sure you ask about that.
But Deland has also found a way to turn off being a coach when he's not at work so he can focus on just being a dad.
What is life like in your household? Do you talk football all day long? Is it you try to put it aside when they come home from practice? How do you do that balance?
We don't talk a whole lot about football at all. It's like, it ain't even the elephant in the room. We'll talk about it a little bit if it comes up, but it's never like, hey, sit down, we're about to go hardcore football 101. It's not like that.
Even when it comes to name, image, and likeness, and their deal with Aura rings.
Great work, everybody. Remember, the reason we got these rings is to hold each other accountable.
Let's always improve, strive to do better, and take care of our health together as a family unit.
The McCullough's priority will always be their kids.
I made it a point that when I had kids, that they wouldn't feel any type of distance or any type of disconnect from me as a father. On top of the fact I'm there, so it's not like I'm distant. I'm right there. So they knew that was important to me.
Well, unfortunately, Day could not make the trip to South Bend, but Deland tells me that both Day and Desan have been injured this season. Day is recovering from a lower body surgery. Desan has been dealing with some knee injuries, but Deland says both should be cleared to play in the next 2 weeks, and he is really, really excited about that.
And keeping it in the family, Deland's oldest son, Deland II, or D-Mac as they call him, is a recruiting analyst for Notre Dame this season. D-Mac has the opportunity to learn from one of the best. Dear old dad has been an excellent recruiter for the Irish.
Absolutely.
No leftovers here. Thousands of local kids in need are getting healthy meals thanks to Notre Dame Game Days and Cultivate Food Rescue.
That's right. We hit the assembly line with Notre Dame quarterback and captain Riley Leonard next. Oh, yeah. Wait a minute.
We're slow because we got.
Yeah,
we're
backing up already. That helps move it along, right?
Those are the little things that I always get mad at the receivers about. I'm like, dude, you're putting it in the wrong bin.
How are we?
Hi, I'm Allison.
Of course.
She's got your shirt for you. She said hot off the press. They just got him this morning. So, is it weird to wear a shirt with your own face on it?
It is. Yeah, it's not something I really envision myself ever doing, but for a good cause.
How did you decide on Cultivate?
My grandfather is very philanthropic. He kind of instilled that within me and my family growing up. This is a cause that I really think is truly making a impact, like right now in this community. So I just wanted to be a part of it. This is step one. Like, they're really big on sanitation for obvious reasons. So get in here, make sure your hands are washed, and get your hair all tied up. If you got a hat, that works great. If not, they got hair nets for us.
How many times have you been here and volunteered?
Quite a few, yeah. There's lines like for months of volunteers who are looking to get in here and volunteer. So like whenever we have the opportunity to come in here, it's always a good time.
You started in 2017. What year did Notre Dame join on?
That was the first day. It's like Notre Dame saying yes, and we're like, we're going.
How big is that for you to have a platform like that he has and that he's using it to help support Cultivate?
It's hard to quantify, especially for an organization like us where we're not part of a national brand and we're a startup in this community and serve this community. It's significant.
Which one do you want? I'll let you pick.
Well, you said the meat's the popular one, right?
Yeah,
everybody wants to do the meat. I'll let you go first, and then you can slide it to me.
Here today we got steak from the football game up in the suites. So that Cultivate will come in after every football game and just take all the remaining food and then develop it and put it into packages for the local kids.
Oh, yeah. Wait a minute.
We're slow because we got.
We're backing up already.
We get a lot of meals from all over the community, but we also make them ourselves.
We chopped up the hot dogs from Notre Dame. We have chili, and as we get mac and cheese from Notre Dame, as well as mac and cheese from Chick-fil-A. So we're gonna mix all that together and do one of the kids' favorite meals.
And that job's a lot harder than you would think. I'm not much of a chef myself.
I was gonna ask. So do you cook at home for yourself at all?
I know how to make cereal. I know how to make.
I don't think cereal counts.
Hey, pancakes, but that's about it.
What's the feedback been for you, like when you go and talk to the kids that are benefiting from these meals?
I think that's the coolest thing because, I mean, we make them feel, special and chosen. It's not, it's an honor to be a part of this program, right? I feel like the kids, being able to see me deliver a meal to them, maybe it gives them just that extra little spark of spirit and hope that they needed. My favorite verse, Matthew 23:12. Those who exalt themselves will be humbled, those who humble themselves will be exalted. Well, obviously, the act of giving is greater than receiving, and every time I leave here, I feel, better about myself.
When you're here for an hour or 2 hours or whatever it is, you're probably able to kind of tune everything else out.
You're just like everybody else when you walk into these doors. Like, there's no downtime to even think about practice or anything like that. Like, you're coming here and you're getting to work.
I think my gloves are too big, too.
They're a little difficult to work with.
Funny, we don't run into that problem with the football guys. It's hard to find big enough gloves to fit those offensive linemen. I don't have the biggest hands, actually.
You've got the experience here, so like you turning them so that the spot is open to you. I mean, that helps move it along, right?
Those are the little things that I always get mad at the receivers about. I'm like, dude, you're putting it in the wrong bin. But it really flies when you're in here, like, talking with everybody and meeting new people.
Did that play into your decision at all to come to Notre Dame?
You know, you don't pick a place because of the cool buildings or the flashy lights or the cool facilities. You pick it, you know, because of the people. The dinner I had with my team, I came on an official visit, the dinner I had with those teammates, and we didn't even talk about football. It was like what sold me. But there are so many like bigger picture conversations that are going on, and that's kind of, you know, the biggest takeaway that I've been able to develop, you know, since being here.
How have you perfected your autograph?
You know, my first one probably took me 3 times the amount of time to sign it than it does now. So I got kind of lazy and kind of quick with it. It looks all right. My girlfriend still critiques it a little bit.
How'd you pick the number 13?
My dad wore it, and I was born on Friday the 13th. So those 2 things kind of sold me. All the donations from the shirt will be coming back to Cultivate. So anybody who were to buy this shirt is giving to Cultivate and giving back to the South End community. So my face is on it, but you know, hopefully it doesn't impact me at all, and it just raises awareness for this.
I just learned so much about Cultivate from that experience. I didn't really know much about them going in, and they actually take the game day leftovers from Notre Dame Stadium suites, food that's never been touched, but that was made and is just extra, and normally that would just go to waste, but not anymore.
You know, and as for that shirt you saw Riley wearing, here it is. It's part of Cultivate's Leading the Drive to End Hunger initiative. The first 70 people who donate $100 or more during the month of October will get one of these, baby. And you can go to our website at abc57.com for more information on how to donate.
Yes, and very cool. Just one last thing. Riley Leonard was just added to the Collegiate Man of the Year award watch list for all of the good that he is doing in the community, on and off the field.
The Cards are the higher-ranked team, but the odds favor the Irish. Our final predictions, plus your game day forecast. Irish wear green, coming up next.
Meteorologist Dave Caulfield here with your game day forecast. You know, I don't want to be the meteorologist that cried blue sky, but I promise you there was some blue sky above me just about 5 seconds ago. These clouds from Hurricane Helene are pretty tough, so a gloomy day overall with maybe some breaks in the clouds, but it should be dry at Notre Dame Stadium for the big game between the Irish and the Cardinals, and temperatures in the 70s for the game. We're talking about the breeze not being a factor. We can feel it right now, but it is not dampening any spirits here in the tailgate lots. Meteorologist Dave Caulfield for ABC57 Kickoff.
All right, it is a top 20 matchup, of course, Notre Dame and the Cardinals. The Irish looking for revenge, and a slight favorite for Notre Dame in this one over the Cardinals. 7 points. The over-under is 45.5 points. We got our Stretch Lab crews got us all stretched out. We're warmed up. We're ready to go for these final predictions, and Levon, and we got Ari in here as well. All right, let's get us started. Of course, we like to have some fun with our prop bets, and our first one is how many rushing yards and rushing touchdowns will the Irish have in this game?
Levon?
I'm going to go with 225 rushing yards on the ground for Notre Dame, and they're also going to get 3 touchdowns on the ground. That's their bread and butter. Don't veer away from that. Obviously, you're going to have to throw the ball if you're Riley Leonard, and Mike Denbrock will draw that up, but you got to rush and attack Louisville regardless of their 18th rushing defense in the country.
How about you?
I'm going to say 160 yards. Is that what I had? And 2 touchdowns? Or did I skip ahead here? Yeah, I thought I had 160 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think the Irish get it done on the ground. I mean, they're always good for at least one rushing touchdown. but I think they exposed this Louisville defense.
Well, that's right. And, of course, I've got, they come into this game averaging 238 yards per game, but the Cards have held the opponents to just 83 yards per game. I think Notre Dame's going to split the difference, not quite get to 200, but they are going to get some yards on the ground this week, and they're going to get 2 touchdowns as well. All right, next up, on the other side of that, we're taking a look at how many passing yards will the Cardinals stout offense, have in this one.
I'm going to start this one off. I think they get 175 yards in the air on 1 touchdown, because you can't forget about Ja'Cory Brooks. No, he hasn't played against any real competition outside of Georgia Tech, but you're talking about a transfer from the SEC. This guy's a real deal. Then you can't forget about Chris Bell, his ability. They got 2 monster and very athletic built receivers on the outside. They're going to get some yards in the air. That's their bread and butter.
I got Ari's parlay here. He gave me the information just before we went on air. 130 yards and 1 touchdown. I don't think
130.
I don't think there's a better passing defense in the country than Notre Dame. I think they do give up some yards in the first half, but at the end of the day, that Notre Dame defense is one of the best in the country. I'm going with them all day long.
You guys think they'll get an interception today?
Yes, absolutely.
They come in, Cardinals, no turnovers in this matchup at all. And okay, final score prediction for you guys. I've got 24-17 Notre Dame getting it done, but this could be a toss-up for me. This was a tough one.
Well, I talked to Ari before the game. We're going to go with 27-19 for the Irish. Listen, 8-point swing. Notre Dame covers the spread. They get the job done. Me and Ari going to go home some happy winners in this game.
Listen, Ari's parlay, you said you're going to make some money. He's going to make me some money today. That's what my boy does. He's going to make me some money. 31-17, Irish cover that 7 points and more today. They get it done, a statement win at Notre Dame Stadium.
Just an incredible show. We had Sheamus, Pat Terrell, Steve Beuerlein. Oh, so awesome. Little Ari, our newest member of the kickoff team. Thank you so much for watching. ABC 57 Kickoff.
Go Irish! Go Irish! Yeah.